Hi, welcome to lesson 1.3 in the Living Room Piano course. In this lesson, I'm going to be teaching you about the major scales. This is one of the most important things to understand when playing the piano. If you don't have a clue about this, it's going to be very hard to progress through a high level. So what I did when I started to play at the piano, I was around 17, and all I did was learning songs, and just playing. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? That's cool. It's way better than just learning boring music theory or really stupid simple songs. But eventually, if you want to take that next step, you are going to have to learn something about music theory, like in this case, scales. So that's what we're going to do right now. And before I tell you a little bit more, let me just remind you that the whole idea of this course is that every lesson is a little block. And if you watch that whole lesson in one go, in one sitting, that will be most beneficial to you, because I structure these lessons so that if you start, you may have some questions, but then at the end of the lesson, hopefully all of the questions are answered. So yes, these lessons are quite long, 45 minutes to an hour, but it really helps you if you sit down, find a moment every week or maybe twice per week where you go, okay, I'm gonna watch this entire lesson. And that actually really helps you in the learning process. So for now, what about these skills? So have you ever been singing this song in your head or just out loud? So let's say, same bed, but it feels just a little bit bigger now. And then you look up that song because you wanted to, you think, oh, that's a cool song, I'll look it up. And then you hear the person singing, same bed, but it feels just a little bit bigger now. Where you go, ooh, like, why is that different? Right? So there's people that go, same bed, but it feels just a little bit bigger now. And then you have, same bed, but it feels just a little bit bigger now. Same bed, but it feels just a little bit bigger now. Same bed, but it feels just a little bit bigger now. Now, which one is correct? Now, first of all, I'm sorry I had to sit through that. But apart from that, which one is correct? They pretty much all sound okay, right? They go like, maybe it's that one, maybe it's that one. Okay, they all sound horrible because I'm singing them, but apart from that, you go, I think it's that one. So if I translate that to piano, let's see what happens. So is that one correct? Or is that one correct? They all sound right. They all sound like that's how the song is supposed to go. So how's that possible? Well, the short answer is I'm playing these songs and I was singing these songs in different keys. And keys are based on scales. So that's what we're going to learn today, the different major scales, how you can identify them, how you can figure them out. And eventually, later on in this course, you don't have to worry about that at all, but we are actually going to learn how to take a song that's written in a certain key or a certain scale and transform that to another scale, so we can actually change the song. This is very helpful. Let's say that you want to play the piano and somebody is singing, and it's a girl instead of a guy, and the song was written for a guy, and so the girl has issues because if she sings at the same key that the guy who wrote the song was originally singing in, it's either going to be too low for her, like same bad but feels just, it's way too low, or it's going to be way too high for her because she picks another octave higher. So what we can then do is go like, okay, well, let's write that song down a little bit, or let's push it up a little bit, but not a whole chunk, okay? So that's just one of the things that you can do when you know your skills. We're going to do that later on in the course. Right now, we're going to start by learning all of the major scales. Okay, so we're in a theory bit again today. There is going to be a practice bit as well, but it will be a little bit later on. Let's start with the theory. The first thing I would like you to do is to head over to your resource files on pgmpiano.com/resources, and you can download file number 3. And I will show it in the screen right now. And what you will see is you see 3 pianos, and you see that you can actually add the name of the scale that you're writing down. You can add the notes that are in the scale, and you can also color in stuff in the piano. So what I want you to do for this lesson is print this file 6 times if possible, If you don't have a printer, or if you're watching this on mobile, you cannot download it or whatever, that's absolutely fine. You can simply draw a piano yourself, draw an empty piano yourself. You may not want to do that 18 times those. So see what you're doing right there, but ideally you can print the resource file. If you don't want to write along, it's absolutely fine as well. It's just a tool that will help you to understand this a little bit better. But if you say, Luke, I'm sitting in the train and I'm watching this on my way to work or to school, no problem. You can follow this without the resource file as well, but it will help you a little bit more. Cool. So I'm going to demonstrate to you what I want you to do. So the whole idea of a key or a scale is to basically indicate which notes are allowed to be played and which notes aren't in a certain song. So as you still remember, hopefully from the previous lessons, let me rotate that camera a bit. If we looked at this area right here, we have 12 notes. If we play all 12 of them, that's not going to work in a song. Generally speaking, and for now we're going to stick to that as well, we will only have 7 notes in one song. This may be quite a relief to you, because having only 7 notes in there is actually really nice, because it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to pick from 12, you only have to pick from 7. So as you will also remember, we had 21 node names in the lesson about node names. So you may think, but now you're talking about 12. Yes, so we have 12 keys. So once more, 12 keys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But we have 21 names because a lot of these keys have double names. There's only 3 keys that don't have a double name up until now. Okay, so if this is a bit confusing to you right now, don't worry, it will become easier and you will get all of this stuff later. So for now, we have 12 notes. As I said, you're only allowed to play 7 in a song, which means we're going to play 7 notes and we're going to remove 5 notes. Okay, so there's 5 notes that we're not playing in every song. There's 7 notes that we are playing, and there's a total of 12. The first thing you have to realize is that when we talk about scales, major scales, every note has to be in the scale once and it can never be in there twice. So you may go like, but dude, you were just talking about that we leave 5 notes out. Yes, so now I'm only talking about the letters. So the letters that we have are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And all of these letters have to be in every scale once, and they're not allowed in twice. Now there's one exception. When we are going to draw these scales on our resource file, you will note that below the piano there's 8 spots. Okay, there's 8 spots. And that's because when we practice our scales, we always end up on the same note as where we start. So that note isn't really part of the scale, it's just more that we want to have the same end and the same beginning. So if this was the A major scale, for instance, I would simply add another A at the end, so that when we play it, we can finish up on an A and start on an A. Otherwise, it would sound like this. And you go, oh, come on, play the final note. Oh yes, there we go. Okay, so therefore we always have the same note at the end as in the beginning when we write down our scales on our resource file. So what I want you to do is, on the resource file you have the piano, right? And then you have here scale name, blah, 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 blah. And then you have the notes that are in the scale. So the first thing I want you to do is to pick the first 7 pianos. Okay, so you have 2, so you take 3 sheets of paper, and on the first piano you write A major. Okay, that doesn't fit. So what you write there is A major. Okay, on the second one you're going to write, the second piano you're going to write B major. And you're going to continue this all the way until G major. So there's going to be 7 pianos that we use right now. First one is A major, and you write it all the way until G major. Every piano gets their own scale. So what I want you to do now is leave the piano empty. We're not going to use that yet. We're just going to write down these notes below the piano. Now if you followed along, you have 7 pianos where you put a name in now, scale name, okay? A major, B major, C major, etc. What I want you to do is when you have these 8 notes that you can enter underneath your piano, on the first position of the first piano I want you to put A, and on the last position I want you to put A as well. Okay, and this is of course for the piano where you wrote down A major scale. Now for the next one, I want you to write down B and B. Okay, and I would like you to continue this process for all of the pianos. So for the A major scale you have A and A, for the B major scale you have B and B, etc. Okay, let me show you an example of what that would look like right now. So the first piano is A major scale, second piano B major scale, third piano C major scale, and we have the first letters filled in. And now what I want you to do, and keep in mind, we are just starting to enter these scales, so they're not going to be complete yet, but these are the correct steps to follow. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to take some time to fill up the entire scale on all of these pianos. How are you going to do that? With alphabetical order. So A major, you're going to write B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you already had the A. For B, you're simply, if you look at the alphabetical order up top, you're going to start with C. So like that, okay? So B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. We can do this for C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, and I want you to do this for all of the 7 pianos that we are doing right now on the resource file. So at the end, you will have a different letter starting, but the order will always be alphabetical. Okay, so I hope you paused the video. If you haven't done so, do that now and finish up your resource file. So now we have a bit of a problem. The only scale that is actually correct on your resource file right now is the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And if we have a look at the piano, that makes sense. Listen. Okay. Now, any of the other scales, for instance, the A major scale that you have written down like that, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. If I would play that, okay, that's a weird sound because we want all of the major scales to sound like this. Okay, so that's a little bit weird. We eventually want to work towards the spot where C sounds like this and A sounds like this. Okay, so this means that there's going to be a couple of black notes that we will have to introduce in these scales. So what I want you to do for now is I want you to have a look at your piano in the resource file. And I want you to color in the C major scale already on the piano because that one is correct. So what I would do is I would simply put little dots. So if you have the piano right here, so if you have the piano right there, you simply put little dots on all of the notes that you have to play. Okay, and you only do this from C to C. Okay, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I will show you that in the resource file right now. So now the question is, if C major is correct, why are all of the other ones wrong? In order to explain this to you, I want you to have a look at the piano right here. So, all of these notes, we have 12 notes. They're all a distance apart that we call half a note. So you want to not walk here on the white bit, you want to put your finger here and then walk this way so that you're going to reach every single note, okay? And then here. If I walk here, it sounds a lot different than when I walk there, okay? So when I do this, I'm playing what we call half notes all the time. So it doesn't matter if you go from white to black or from black to white, or here from white to white, every time when you hit a next note is half a note. So a half note. And I would like to abbreviate that with an H. Okay? Half. Again, it does not matter if we go from white to white, from white to black, from black to white. But if we play two half notes, we get a whole note, of course. So from here to here is half. From here to here is also half. So therefore from here to here is a whole note. Okay, so whenever you skip a note, we're talking about a whole note. So C to D is a whole note because we're skipping this note right here. D to E is a whole note because we're skipping this note right here. Even though it looks the same as right here, look, this distance is exactly the same as here and here. But because there's no note in the middle, we're not skipping a note. So this is only half a note. So pay attention to that. Very important. From here to here, we skip a note, whole note. We skip a note, so this is a whole note. And here we don't skip a note, so it's half a note. Whole note, we use W. So now we're going to build a pattern for that C major scale. Okay, so if we have a look, as I said, we only play white note. Okay, so we have to figure out what the steps are. So as I said, from here to here, because we're skipping a note, we play a whole note. Okay, so write down a W. So now I went from C to D. Now I want to go from D to E because I have to play the white notes for C major. Okay, so from D to E, I'm skipping a note, so again, a whole note. Ooh, that's a little crooked, but anyway. So now I'm on E, right? So I did C, whole note, D, whole note, E. Now I have to move to F because I'm staying on the white notes. And you know, this is only half a note. So we're going to write down half a note. Okay. So for now, the C major scale, we start here, whole note, and then half a note. This distance right here. Now we have to move on to the G because we stay on white notes. So there's a black note in between. There's a note in between. So it's a whole note. So write that down. Whole note. And we can already see that it's going to be the same for A and for B because there's black notes in between. So we can write those down as well. And now all we have to do is go back to C. So we're on B, go to C. There's no note in between, so that's half a note. Okay, so now we have this pattern, WWH, WWWH. And this pattern is the pattern for the C major scale. Now, we have a lot of major scales. We're going to do 17 in this bit of the course. So if every major scale would have a different pattern, that's going to be such a ball breaker, okay? So I can already tell you that that is not the case. This code, this pattern, works for every major scale. You can simply start on any note. Let's zoom out a little bit. You can simply start on any note, let's say C, and then add a whole note, so we end up on D, add a whole note, so we end up on E, add a half note, so we end up on F, etc. And we can do that, and we will always end up on a major scale. So you may be wondering, but Mark, we already have all of these scales, because when I start on A, I add a whole note, so I end up on B, I add a whole note, so I end up on C, etc., etc. But let's have a look at the piano to see if that's actually correct. So when I start on A, I have to play a whole note, so I skip one, play the B. That's correct. And now I have to play a whole note again, so skip, wait, there's no note to skip here. So I actually have to skip this note right here, and I will end up on here, okay? So A, B, C is not correct because we're ending up on a black note, not on the C. It's a D flat or a C sharp. So now we're going to take these 7 scales that you already entered. And again, the C major scale is correct. But we're going to figure out the correct scales for all of the other ones. So let's put that on the board and we will do this together and enter all of the correct scales. So before we're going to write down all of these scales on the board, I want you to take your resource file, the ones you're working on. You're probably working on 3 pages by now. And I want you to put that code WWH on top of that page. The reason I didn't print them on there is because we're going to use these pages later on for different types of skills and different types of exercises. So I didn't want to put that on there because we sometimes may use a different code, but I want you to put WWH on there right now. I also want to give you a little idea of why these skills are useful, because right now we're going to invest a lot of time to figure them out. And the whole idea is that these skills are going to tell you when you play a song which notes you can play and which notes you don't have to think about, which notes you can ignore. So let's say A major. If you know that a song is written in A major, then you already know which notes you don't have to play and which notes you can focus on, and that's going to be super helpful later. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out A major and B major together, and then you're going to fill out D, E, F, and G major yourself, and then later on I will check that to see if you actually managed to do that. So for now, let's figure out A and B major, and then you can do the other ones yourself, and we will check that out later. Okay, so if you have a look at your resource file, you will have A and B major with the ending notes, and you already put in all the notes in between as well. Okay, so with all of the notes filled in, it will look like this, and this is already correct. You have the correct notes there, but we do have to decide, is a note, let's say the C, is it just a C? Is it a C sharp? Or is it a C flat? Okay, that's very important to figure that out. Now, one thing you can be sure of is that the first note and the last note, the A and the B in this case, are going to be correct. Okay, so for A major, it's just an A. For B major, it's just a B. The name of the scale is always going to be the first note in your scale, and this note is always just the name of the scale. So A major is going to be A. We also have A sharp major, so then the first note would be A sharp. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So right now we're going for A major and B major, so these notes are correct already. And now we're simply going to walk on the piano. Okay, and we're going to start with A major. So A. Now we have to take a whole step. So we skip one note and we play B. Okay, so B is correct. I'm going to circle that in a bit. And then we have to take a whole step again. So skip one note, which is this, and move up here. Okay, so A, B, and this note right here. The question is always, is this the D flat or the C sharp? And that's why we already filled this in to help us out. Look, it has to be a C. So the B is correct, as I said, and the C is this black note right here, this note. So I have to name it C sharp, okay? Because if it's a flat, it would be D flat, but that's not possible because the next note I have to use is C. And that's why I like to fill them in like this. So C sharp is the next note in my A major scale. So what we did is we did a whole note. We started here, whole note, and now we have to do half note. Remember, whole, half. Okay, so we started here, whole note. Now we have to do half a note. So just the next note is going to be this one, the D. Okay, so moving here, which is the next? It is the D, so that's correct. And I can simply fill out the D right there. Cool. So now moving on, I'm on D. I just did my half note, so now I have to do a whole note. So I'm on D, skip a note, play the next. Okay, so the next one is E. That's there, so that's convenient. Okay, and now we have to move on. We have to do another whole note. So from E, I have to skip a note and then play this one right here. Now this note, as you know hopefully, is either an F sharp or a G flat. So we have to see, is it F sharp or G flat? It says F, so I have to make this into an F sharp. So now this one is correct as well. So now I'm on F sharp right here, and I have to do another whole note. Okay, so skip a note, play another note. Now, is this going to be A flat or G sharp? Let's have a look. The only option left is G, so we have a G sharp. And now we have all of the notes in. Let's check if that's correct. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. Let's listen. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. That is correct. So now that we have this, you can actually draw it in the piano, okay? So you have this, C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. Please draw that in the piano. So color in the dots for A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. Put a little dot like with a red pen or some color in that file, so you actually have that visually as well as literally, alphabetically written down there. Okay, let's do the same with B major, and then I want you already have C major done, so then I want you to move on with D, E, F, and G and do them by yourself, and then I'm gonna check that for you to make sure that you have the correct answers. So B, we have to start with the whole note, so skip a note. We're gonna end up on this note right here. This can be D flat or C sharp. Let's see what we have. We have to make a C, so C sharp. Now we have to do another whole note. So I'm on C sharp. I have to skip a note, and then this note is the next, okay? Now I'll tell you a little secret. We already know it has to be a sharp because this one is a sharp. So we're usually going to stick to, look, sharp, sharp, sharp. Here it's going to be the same. So the next one is going to be sharp as well. If I have to pick between sharp and flat, from now on it's going to be sharp. So B, C sharp, D sharp. So I did a whole note and a whole note. Now I have to do a half note. So I'm on D sharp and I have to do a half note. So I'm simply going to do one and I'll end up on E. Half note done. Now I have to do 3 whole notes. Okay, let's see if we can remember this to speed things up a bit. So E, gonna skip a note, F sharp because we know it has to be a sharp, skip a note, G sharp because we know it has to be a sharp, skip a note, A sharp. Okay, whole note, whole note, whole note, sharp, sharp, sharp. Okay, so for B major, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B. Which basically means that we have 5 black keys in there. Listen. Okay, and that sounds correct. So right now we have A, B, and C. So 3 scales done already. Please, right now, move to your resource file and finish D major, E major, F major, and G major. Pause the video, and once you're done, I want you to put in sharps, but it could also be flats, okay? So be careful, it could also be flats. And make sure to finish that using the WWH right now. We're heading into the practice bit. This is your practice for these skills. So check that out right now. See if you can find all of these skills and then pause the video, because as soon as you're back, I'm going to reveal these skills to you. Okay, so don't worry, I blurred the image on purpose just in case you're still watching and you haven't figured out your skills yet. But I'm going to reveal the first one, the D major scale, in 3 seconds. So 3, 2, 1, and this is the scale. So I want you to check if this is correct, if this is what you actually have on your resource file. D, E, and then we go to F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Okay, so make sure you have that. And then the second one, I'm going to reveal that in 3, 2, 1. E, we have F sharp and G sharp, A, B, C sharp, and D sharp, and E. So I hope you got that correct as well. Make sure, look, we're doing a whole, and a half note. Whole, half. Okay, the next one, the F major scale. I'm going to reveal that in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, F, G, A, B flat. Okay, there's a B flat. If you had A sharp, you have 2 A's. Okay, F, G, A, A. That's weird. We want to have F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. And then the final one, G major, revealing that in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. There's only one sharp in here, and it's the F sharp. So I hope you had these skills written down correctly. We're going to be toying quite a lot with skills in this course. If you didn't, don't worry, it's not the easiest thing to do, but make sure that you actually have your resource files printed and then write the correct skills in there. And you can also draw little dots in your piano so you see exactly which notes are in there. So right now on your resource file, you should have your scale name and then the correct notes written down, okay, below the piano, and also those notes represented with a little dot or little X or something in your piano so you can actually visually see it. Now, I'm also going to give you a little bit of homework right now. What I want you to do is to take the other resource files that you still have empty, and I want you to put in the C sharp, the D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp major scales. So you're going to start on C sharp, you're going to end on C sharp, and you're going to do exactly the same. So you're going to write D, E, F, G, A, B, C sharp. And now you have to figure out if there's any notes right here. Now, when there's a sharp in the beginning, okay, these notes will also get sharps if they get anything, most likely. Okay, so you're not going to see C sharp, E flat, whatever, right? So it's most likely going to be sharps. So C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp, please put them on your resource file right now. C sharp in the beginning, C sharp in the end, and fill up all of the other notes. You can do that right now. And then for your homework, I want you to figure out exactly which of these notes have sharps and which are just the normal notes. And I want you to do the same thing for flats, okay? So we're going to have D flat, E flat, G flat, A flat, and B flat. So there's 10 skills in total that I want you to do on your own without me, and then later on in this video I will come back and check them with you and see if you actually managed to do them correctly. So go ahead and do that right now. As soon as this video resumes, I will have the answers for you. You're of course free to don't do anything and simply wait for me to tell you the answers, but if you actually want to learn to do this stuff, use that WWH formula and you'll be able to figure this stuff out in no time. And it's so helpful if you do this yourself. If you allow me to do all the work, then you're just not learning anything. Okay, so do it right now, pause the video, and by the time you'll be back, I'll have the answers for you. Okay, so I hope you had a good time figuring these out. If you haven't done so already, I've blurred the board just to be sure, and I will be revealing the C sharp major scale in 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. So the C sharp major scale is relatively easy in the fact that every note carries a sharp. So we have C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, and C sharp. So I hope you managed to figure that out. Again, if you didn't, this is quite advanced stuff. So don't beat yourself over the head with it. Let's move on to the D sharp major scale. And I was a little bit naughty. This scale is a bit tricky. So if you had trouble figuring out this scale, have a look right now. We have D sharp, E sharp, and then an F with a cross, okay, or an X. And that's something that I didn't tell you yet. I hinted towards it in the note name lesson that we can have something as a double sharp. So if you had D sharp, E sharp, and then an F with two sharps, that was correct, but we also note it by simply putting a little X sideways so that you know, well, actually it's not sideways, it's just a little X so that you know that it's a double sharp. Okay, so D sharp, E sharp, F double sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C with an X again, so that's a C double sharp, and then D sharp. So I'm sorry that I didn't tell you this before, but I wanted to see if you were able to figure it out by yourself. If you did so, congratulations. If you didn't, I mean, I really did not expect that you did, okay? So if you haven't done so, then still very good job on you for figuring out the other notes. Let's have a look at the F sharp major scale. So we have F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, that's the only regular note, and then C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, and F sharp. Hope you got that. And then G sharp. So it's G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, and then an F double sharp again. So we have the cross, okay? And then for A sharp, it's A sharp, B sharp, C double sharp, so again an X or a cross, and then D sharp, E sharp, F double sharp, G double sharp, and finishing up with A sharp. So now let's have a look at how you did with the flats. I'm very curious to see what you did with the flats. So again, I have blurred the answers because maybe you weren't ready yet, but I am going to reveal the D flat major scale in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So the flats are in general a lot nicer to work with than the sharps when it comes to scales, because as you can see right here, we don't have any doubles yet. So D flat, E flat, G flat, A flat, and B flat, and then F and C are just regular notes, okay? So D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat. Let's have a look at E flat major. Also here, a lot more clean than its brother or sister, the D sharp major. So E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, and E flat. Let's have a look at G flat major. This one, everything is a flat except for the F. So G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F, G flat. Let's check out A flat major, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G, A flat. And then B flat major, B flat, C, D, E flat. The E flat is the only other note that has been flattened, and then F, G, and A. So I hope that you did quite all right in this lesson. I know it's a lot of information, especially the first time, and you may mainly think, dude, I now know so many skills, but what do I have to do with that? What is the use of it? Well, we're going to figure that out quite soon. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to do with this information. Basically, if you think about it, most of the course will revolve around this. So make sure that if you made a mistake, take a little break, an hour or two, or maybe a day, and then the skills that you did not manage to fill in correctly, try them again. You can print the resource file as many times as you want, or you can always change the name of the scale because the files are empty, right? You can put your own name. So let's say the D flat major scale, the F sharp, and the A sharp. If you did not manage to get them correctly, simply put them on a resource file and try again maybe tomorrow. We're now going to move on to lesson 1.4, where we are going to actually play these scales with the correct finger position, which is really important. And there's also daily skill practice exercise in that lesson. So if you want to practice your skills, which is something that you should be doing if you want to become really good at playing the piano, it's one of these things that you just have to do. You don't have to do it super often, but it's good to do it now and then. Then the next lesson is absolutely going to be worth your while. It will be mainly a practical lesson, whereas this one was mainly theoretically based, right? That lesson is really going to involve the piano, so if you can, make sure you have a piano with you at the moment you're watching that lesson. I want to thank you so much for watching this far. If you enjoyed this course, you can leave a review. It takes you about 30 seconds and really helps me and also other students to find this course, and it helps them because you can actually tell them what you thought of the course, and like I said, it's a 30-second thing you can do. So make sure to leave a positive review if you like this course. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at pgmpianofans@gmail.com. For now, let's move into lesson 1.4.